If you're a digital artist currently in the market for a new graphics tablet, times have changed. Once the only real name worth remembering in the digital art game, Wacom's dominance over the drawing tablet market has been challenged in the last few years by a number of smaller companies vying for your hard-earned cash. Newcomers like Unova, Huion, and Bosto are releasing products that perform comparably to Wacom's offerings, but at a dramatically reduced price. When before in the world of Wacom you'd have to spend baseline $80 to $100 to get a tiny neophyte drawing tablet, these days you can grab a Huion or Monoprice tablet that's the same size and relative quality as a $350 Wacom Intuos Pro for around $60. Sure, it gives up a bit in build and driver quality, but for many indie creators out there, the trade-off to save over 70% of the cost will be worth it. At the heart of the majority of these graphics tablets is a company called UC Logic. They make the underlying pen and digitizer tech that make these tablets tick, and their performance compares well to Wacom, even at the vastly reduced price. But recently, the company has begun to take a very Wacom-esque approach to graphics tablets and release an in-house designed tablet of their own. It's a similar size to a Wacom Intuos Pro, but unlike the other tablets I've mentioned, it's also around the same price, at $350. So, if this tablet costs just as much as an Intuos and comes from a no-name brand, why would I bother wasting your time talking about it? Meet the UC Logic SP1001, a 10.1-inch portable drawing display that is, for all intents and purposes, a mini Cintiq. As crazy cool as the SP1001 is conceptually, it's far from the first of its kind. Unova, a company that has long relied on UC Logic's tech to create their tablets, has put out a few similar 10-inch tablet displays, of varying quality and usefulness. And in fact, the hardware of the SP1001 was manufactured in partnership with Unova. The big difference here is that the build quality on the SP1001 is vastly superior to the cheap, flex-ridden plastics that were used on Unova's previous efforts. It feels just as nice as the plethora of Wacom tablets I've owned in the past. The buttons are a soft touch rubber and have a nice, good feel to them when clicked. The plastics are rigid and relatively flex-free, and the display is great too. It's a 10.1-inch 1280 by 800 display that, unlike some of Unova's earlier attempts at a tablet monitor, uses IPS technology for improved viewing angles and vastly reduced color shift when viewing the display from off-angle. It's not the best IPS screen I've ever seen, certainly not as nice as the panel in something like an iPad or Surface Pro, but it's completely usable for what this thing is designed for and more than acceptable for the price. Likewise, the stylus is also very well crafted, with a good weight and balance in the hand. It has a rocker and 2 function buttons, just like a Wacom stylus, and it doesn't need batteries, a feat even the now Microsoft-owned N-Trig can't boast with its Surface 3 and Surface Pro 3 pens. Unlike Wacom though, the rear end doesn't have an active eraser. As far as I'm aware, that's a Wacom exclusive technology. The stylus supports 2048 levels of pressure sensitivity, just like an Intuos Pro or Cintiq, but unlike either of those pens, it doesn't support tilt. Personally, I've never found much use for this in my workflow, but it's something to keep in mind if you've come to rely on it in your current Wacom product. The stylus also has a really nice case to store it in when on the road, similar to what Wacom provides with its Pro pens. It has a magnetic clasp and a soft rubber interior to cradle the pen, and includes a bunch of replacement nibs ranging in feel from soft to hard depending on your preference. In addition to the travel case, you also get a weighted silo to keep the pen in on a desk, one that works better than the silo I got with my old Wacom Bamboo. Overall, the pen experience with the SP1001 is very generous, especially considering the price. One big advantage the SP1001 has over something like a Cintiq 13 HD is that it's portable. Like, actually portable. Wacom bills the 13 HD as a portable pen display, but the unit requires a USB cable for data, a display cable, and, most damningly, a power adapter to run, making the unit far more suited to home or office use. The SP1001 is powered over USB and only requires a USB and HDMI connection to drive the display and provide power, making it an excellent addition to your backpack to go along with your notebook if you're a road warrior. The unit comes with a single cable with both connections built in, but it's a bit too long and bulky to easily take with you. It's fine, and probably preferable if you're currently using the SP1001 with a desktop, but if you want to throw it in your bag, it's probably worth spending the money on a micro USB and micro HDMI cable that are a bit more restrained. So the thing is well built enough to be in the same room as a Wacom, but how does it perform? It's a bit of a mixed bag, though it is improving. If you're used to the touch displays on a Surface Pro or iPad Air, prepare for a blast from the past, because unlike these products, the display here isn't laminated to the cover glass, so there's very obvious gaps between the surface plastic yes, plastic, and the actual display. I haven't used the most recent Wacom Cintiqs, as they're way out of my price range, but the ones I have used in the past also had a display gap, but it wasn't as pronounced as it is here on the SP1001. Now, some might be wondering why this is even an issue, and it comes down to what's called parallax. Because there is a gap between the display and where your pen is sitting, there will be some noticeable offset between your pen and the cursor when using the SP1001. When I first got the unit back in early March, the offset was terrible, made even worse by poor driver performance. The cursor would easily be off by a few centimeters from the tip, unless it was held completely straight up, a very unnatural position that made drawing quite difficult. The driver included a basic calibration option, but no matter how many times I ran the test, performance did not improve. And even worse, the driver itself would frequently stop functioning entirely, and only a reboot would bring the thing back. Needless to say, I was incredibly disappointed that I had wasted my money and effort on the SP1001, especially considering it wasn't even my money, it was a gift from a friend. But then, a few weeks ago, I upgraded my system from Windows 7 to Windows 8.1. What? Don't judge me. I needed a legit license to get my free copy of Windows 10 this summer. Leave me alone. Anyways, I did a clean install and was reinstalling all my drivers. I went to the UC Logic website and found, to my elation, and a bit of irony, that an updated beta version of their driver was released mere days after I had given up on the SP1001. Installing the updated version yielded essentially the same results. Crestfallen, I decided to use the 9-point calibration tool once more, and it worked this time! The parallax issues all but disappeared with this new driver, and other than a weird snafu where the tablet somehow mapped itself to one of my regular monitors, I haven't had any issues since. The only other issue I would want to point out now that I realized after the fact was that this product doesn't work with every single program. The big ones that I use like Photoshop CS6, ArtRage, Manga Studio, and most of the big ones have worked fine. Open source apps though, like GIMP 2.8 and MyPaint, didn't work at all with a tablet. GIMP didn't have any pressure sensitivity, and MyPaint wouldn't even work at all. So if you're using open source applications, that's something to keep in mind. With those issues ironed out though, I was really impressed with the pen performance. Tracking was smooth and fast, the pen not lagging behind any more than Wacom's tracking, and the pressure was fantastic. The default curve is a bit different than an Intuos or a Cintiq. It doesn't blow out nearly as fast, so you get a lot more responsiveness by default with minimal pressure, but as a consequence, you really gotta bear down to max the thing out, something that is a fair bit more disconcerting on a plastic display than on the dumb active area of an Intuos. The driver itself is pretty barren compared to Wacom, offering little more than a basic pressure curve editor, hotkey mapping, and the aforementioned calibration. But I've never been one to delve deep into the settings of my tablet. The defaults provided by Wacom usually did a fine job for me, and after calibrating it, so did the defaults of the SP1001. So in summary, would I recommend this no-name upstart wannabe Cintiq over a tried and true Intuos Pro? Well, that depends. If you're on a super tight budget and want the best bang for your buck, it's hard to beat the value proposed with the SP1001. With great build quality, pen tracking and performance on par with Wacom, and the added benefit of, you know, a freaking screen that you can throw in your backpack with no issue, UC Logic's latest can instantly transform your notebook into a dual-monitor digital art studio, and that's utility that's hard to ignore. On the other hand though, it might be close, but it's still no Wacom. Driver support is not as robust or stable, and the pen lacks some basic amenities that you get at this price from an Intuos Pro, like an eraser and tilt. If you use these features often or find yourself diving into Wacom settings to dial in a really specific feedback from your tablet, you might want to give this one a pass. And if you're just a beginner, despite being much cheaper than a Cintiq 13 HD, which starts off at $800, this is still a lot of money to drop on a computer accessory. If you still aren't that experienced with digital art, a Huion H610 might be a better place to start. It uses the same UC Logic tech here, but ditches the display as well as the bulk of the price, coming in at just $60 on Amazon, a far more reasonable cost for someone new to the hobby. Regardless of who you are though, I have to say that UC Logic has done an amazing job with the SP1001, creating a tablet display currently in a class all of its own, delivering a product to a niche that Wacom has largely priced itself out of with the Cintiq 13 HD. And that's something worth praising. My name is Tom Oliver, and this is Rebel Pixels, a channel all about empowering and inspiring the DIY creator here on the web. If that's you and you live and die by your art, whether it's, you know, drawing, writing, visual design, or anything of the such, feel free to hit that subscribe button and join the rebellion. I make videos like this every week, whether it's technical things like reviews, like you're seeing right now, or something more inspirational about, like, practical advice I've learned on my journey of becoming an artist. I'm far from an expert, but I'm here to share what I've learned with you and to inspire conversation so we can all get a little bit better than we were yesterday. So give this video a thumbs up if you thought it was good, give it a thumbs down if you thought it freaking sucked. Let me know in the comments if you've used this product before or if you've never heard of it. Is it intriguing? Do you think you want to go check it out? Until next time, I'm Tom Oliver. This is Rebel Pixels, reminding you guys we might be indie, but we're not alone. I'll catch you guys next week.